Welcome to This Epic Life Presents the Summer of Fulfillment. Be a mindful badass. And right off the bat here, I'm going to wage a little bit of jihad on the word mindful. I like the word mindful, and technically, as a meditation expert for rapid growth companies, I should be really comfortable with the word mindful. And I usually am in teams and organizations because the word mindful, coined by John Kabat-Zinn and the work of so many other amazing innovators in the space, I feel like the word mindful was really geared towards creating a bridge between the true practitioners of mindfulness and meditation practice, and also with the business community. So they wanted people to say, or wanted it to be received and kind of processed by the business community as something accessible that we could all kind of get behind. My only problem with the word mindful is that there's a better word we could substitute for the purposes of this epic life and for all the amazing people on the call today. And that is to substitute the word soulful. So to be a soulful badass. Because the only thing better than the mind, in my experience, is absolutely the soul. Hashtag all caps. I had to include a little bit of facepalm action because who doesn't love a good facepalm every once in a while? My facepalm happens to be coming this year from, you mean I have to grow by this much? You mean all of this went away, this, comfortable corporate salary or, health benefits in the United States that were paid for by the company versus paying out of pocket, or I have to face this about my personality, or if I have to entertain all these kids running around during the summertime. Who on the call is facing some level of face palming in terms of either recent failure or learning experience, or just overwhelmment by how fast everything's changing or what you are currently responsible for this week? Don't be shy. Let me know. It's okay. You're amongst good company and supporters. And what I always tell people about failure is that you might as well fail fast and hard and learn from it, and fail as big as possible. Leave a freaking fail crater if you can, because it just means that you're learning that much more in the process. Here's our goals for today. I want to help each of you create more mindful awareness so you can actually enjoy this amazing time that we live in, but also the incredible life that you've set up for yourself. And it all comes from awareness. But at first, awareness could sting a little bit because it's kind of like, seeing what the bar looks like at 3 a.m. once it's cleared out and all the lights are on. Like, wow, this is who I thought that was attractive. Oh my gosh. We want to create more awareness first so we can really see what's going on and really feel and intuit how we should respond and act accordingly. I also want to help you find more time to be creative. I put out a prompt yesterday on Facebook around what would you accomplish today, and that if you achieved it or felt it or accomplished it would create the biggest sense of fulfillment. And a lot of people responded with just finding more time to be creative, or this next one, being more useful and spending more time being in service to others. We kind of know that our happiness is tied to creating meaning in our lives, and the meaning is directly related to what we're able to create and express. And I truly believe we're here on this planet to fully express and to create as much as possible, specifically create value and prosperity for other people. I want to cover some new tools and processes that have been really helpful in my own life as I've been navigating a year of massive change, and also taking on the same exact mission that I take on every year this time, right around the summer solstice, which is to have the raddest summer of my life. I don't believe we should be moving backwards in terms of how much we enjoy summer as we get older. I turned 40 last year, and I can honestly say that my summers tend to improve because I come into every June thinking, how do I make this summer the raddest summer of my life? So I want to give you some tools and processes that might be useful to you. And I will say that I've never worked harder than this year on the internal processing and the mindset piece of thoroughly enjoying and being grateful for everything that's happening in my life, including all the upheaval. So I want to share with you all the latest discoveries and processes I've created around that. And finally, we'll finish with meditation, the habit that drives fulfillment. So let's get started. I want you to jot down grab your crayon, grab your piece of paper or your bar napkin, wherever you are right now, and just jot down what you're most likely to remember about this year so far or this summer. So can we just take a minute and do that? Write down, what are you most likely to remember about this year? I'm talking in your 80s, on your deathbed, at the end of the road, 2016, how would you file it? Or maybe this general period of, the mid 2010s. What will you actually remember? I'll share a couple things about what I'm most likely to remember, but I'm really curious to hear what you're going to remember. We think it's the struggle or the rug being pulled out from under our feet, or that what did they say at the end of Christmas Vacation? If this isn't a bag over the head, sock in the face, we think it's the shock and awe campaign of life's curveballs. But what we tend to remember are the following. We tend to remember remarkable experiences versus accumulating more crap. Ain't that right, Joel Z? Simple revolution, y'all. And we tend to remember the people that we helped or served, putting our own petty first world problems into perspective and getting into the shoes and the hearts of others who we can just brighten the days of, the people that we helped, the people that we served. We tend to remember smaller moments of meaning versus longer stretches of struggle and strife. And what I'm noticing is that I'm starting to remember growth themes of my growth or what I needed to learn this year versus any particular failure or misdirected step I took, or just challenging situations. But here's one of the keys, is that living the good life and living the epic life and living specifically your amazing version of your singular, epic, very, very vital and important life is your ability and your determination to rip up the script that everybody else gave you, including yourself, the story that you keep yourself stuck in, of this is the little groove between my bed and my desk and my life is just that groove. Going off script and living adventurously, living creatively, living in the service of others. And to me, that is the true spirit of summertime. Like when I hear Summertime by Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff, summer, summer, summertime. I DJ'd and MC'd and officiated a friend's wedding last week, and I had to put that song on during cocktail hour because that song gets in your DNA to the point where you could smell the barbecue kind of thing. But this season is asking us to step up and bloom and to go off script. So let's explore some of the ways that we might go off script. And this is how this has worked out for me this year. And what I'm hoping by sharing this little piece about what I've been through is that you could see some of your own story in it, but also some of your own opportunities to express and maybe have some of the same realizations and realize that in any given moment, the power truly is in our control. We could default to others and say, oh, it's my boss or my clients or my workload or these kids that need these bills paid or the utility companies or the credit card companies that I owe money to. It's all these people keeping me trapped in this, insert tiny little box. When in reality, we have the moment-to-moment choice to step out and create true freedom, true expression, true vitality. January 28th, 2016, this was, I think my daughter took this picture. This was moving day. I was waiting for all of our stuff to arrive at our new house. I was sitting in front of this pool that looked like a frozen pond, and I was scared shitless because I had eventually purchased a massive home 5 minutes before, and committing to a major home renovation 5 minutes before finding out that my job no longer existed. So I thought, how do these two things go together? I've always had an income since I was 15 years old. And, now I have all these kids and these high stakes and responsibilities and no next paycheck to pay for this or to sustain this or whatever this previous story I was. And I kind of knew intuitively sitting out there at the pool that day that everything that had come to pass in my life, the creation of this epic life, becoming a spiritual teacher, becoming a catalyst for others to create their meditation practice, any good that I've maybe have tripped over in the last 4 to 6 years has come from doing just this, which is quieting the mind, visualizing the new path, and then hopefully acting accordingly so I could stay the hell out of the way while it manifests. Fast forward a few months, and I was starting to notice this yard take shape and bloom. And what was really staggering for me over and over and over as I walk around this house, it kind of chokes me up because we literally, it wasn't so much about buying bigger, but it was about reaching beyond our little box that we had grown accustomed to in our last home and thinking, what's possible? Where can we raise these 3 teenagers before we know it? And what's going to be the next vessel where we could express all this family magic and love through? And watching things bloom around here was really the first metaphor that I started getting very aware of that was ushering in this whole new phase of energy of what this home represented to us. And the blooms is what did it. So first the whole yard exploded into yellow forsythia, then all these rhododendrons, these aged like 40, 50-year-old rhododendron trees that explode into different colors. And I just started noticing more and more that my life and my metrics, which we're going to talk in depth about, we're following suit by taking the risk and moving forward with the house, even despite in the face of the job change, whatever it could be, that the rewards that we get aren't just this, house that we have to pay for, but it's all the little things that come with it. The better views, the better energy, the invitation to step up into a fuller version of ourselves, to rise and outpace and to transcend the learning curve. And this is what came to pass, playing with my daughter the last day of school, watching her rock the house and get everyone on their feet, their hands clapping. And these day-to-day adventures I take on either my Vespa scooter or my bicycle. Yes, I have more newfound freedom being an entrepreneur and being in business for myself now than having to deliver a bunch of corporate projects for one employer. But I was still doing the same thing last summer, in between projects. It's the conscious choice to get out and enjoy ourselves, to flip the script any given day and be led by intention and what we want to have come to pass. And then in the process, getting closer with the family, becoming more of an impact at home versus always trying to run away and work in all these different cities across the country and across the world. Realizing that we have this incredible opportunity right in front of us to create some pretty profound impact. Last weekend was when this all kind of came together for me, is when I really decided to move forward with the webinar and running the 30-day meditation challenge again in July. Was that I officiated and DJ'd and MC'd a dance party for a friend's wedding. And it was very moving, but this picture reminds me, I think my mother-in-law took this, of that any day of our lives can be plenty of a party, whether we are at work or we are dealing with responsibility or we are out literally partying. And I might not party the exact same as I did when I used to drink a lot or party in other ways, but I could tell you that I party much harder and heartier and elevate everyone's spirits in the process. And this is one of the things that I'm going to remember most about this year, is that it's the year that I launched my business, organizational consulting for building company cultures. So as challenging as things can be, we want to always come back to, what are we going to remember about this? What are we going to take forward from it? And how did we learn from it? So I present to you, my friends, are we ready to take some notes? Are we ready to apply some of this stuff? The 6 levels of mindful badassery, but I thought it'd be more effective to call it the 6 levels of soulful badassery. Let's start with metrics. We're going to go in depth onto each of these, but we're going to talk about first soulful metrics, the habits that support them. We got to really get obsessed with gratitude and wire in some different ways to tune into it throughout the day. Money. Ooh, isn't that a fun one? How is money soulful? Well, money kind of keeps everything, keeps the lights on, quite literally, but it also is a great metric for measuring different levels of alignment. So we have to talk about money and soulful money. We have to talk about business, because all of us are in business on some level, and we want to create impact in the world, and we want to make a great living while we're at it. You know, I might be a yogi, but I do expect to be fairly compensated, and compensated generously for the value I create. That requires creating a business. Business is not easy. Let's talk about some simple ways to work every day on creating a soulful business. And then finally, mentorship. Getting wisdom and knowledge and resources from others, and then in turn, paying those forward. So give me just 2 seconds here. Okay, just want to make sure my phone is off. All right, soulful metrics. Think about it this way. Your metric should be based on essentially 3 things. And that is you want to have a metric of meaning over happiness. I used to just chase happiness, and what it turned me into was kind of a permagrin wearing, inauthentic, everything is fine, I'm happy all the time, I'm just a clown, kind of happy clown, versus somebody that's comfortable having gravitas, or somebody who's comfortable being vulnerable, or maybe choking up and crying in front of my kids, or searching for the deepest possible meaning and sense of purpose in something. But setting a metric of meaning is so valuable. And when I consult with companies on their company culture, I always direct them to promote meaning in their culture over this fleeting sense of happiness, because meaning is the precursor to happiness. Happiness can ensue, but it starts with meaning. You can't skip meaning and just go straight to happiness. It'll be empty. Another great metric, as I mentioned, is adventure. For you world domination fans in the house, we know that adventure is one of the key components of Chris Guillebeau's platform, but the ability to go off-road, go off-script, and to have a playful, fun adventure every given day, or to see where you could take a conversation with your friends into something somewhere new and exciting and out of just the humdrum, predictable path. And impact. So taking the metric away from just straight up money, how many Benjamins do I have in the bank at the moment, to how much impact am I creating in the world? How big is the ripple? How sick is my cannonball in this sweet ass pool in the backyard? Impact. Now let's move into soulful habits. I also call these rituals, but your habits, the deciding criteria of if you need to install, upgrade, or remove, scan for malware on your habits, is if it is rejuvenating, distracting, or if it's depleting. And there's many habits we acquire over our lifetime that are sold to us as rejuvenating that ultimately become depleting. But you optimize your habits all the time towards those which are much more rejuvenating. And I'm going to talk a lot about meditation, just because to me that's the fundamental habit that upgrades all other habits. That's why it's so important. But just focus on your habits being rejuvenating. Consistency over duration. So it's not how much time you spend doing these different things, but it's the consistent act of doing them every single day that creates the compounding return of your time investment. So yes, having long meditations is definitely valuable, and I'm a fan of going on retreat. But it's more so all of the little dots you connect and all the little chain links you create through a given week or a given month or a given year that creates the compounding benefit. So your habits just have to be consistent. But at the same time, you don't want to overstep that consistency and become rigid with your habits, because there is no fun hanging out with some rigid ass person that has to get 20 different habits in, like the OCD habits, before they can move forward with having fun and enjoying their day. And yes, I do step into the rigid territory. Ask my wife. However, what I'm learning this year, in a year of massive upheaval and just shifting landscapes, is that my ability to bend and sway with the winds of change and to be self-compassionate really forces me to relax into the consistency and know that consistency is part of my identity, because it's what I worked up to achieve that level of consistency. However, if I have to miss, or if I have to shorten a particular, meditation session or a run or any of the other rejuvenating habits I have, that I'm compassionate with myself. And I feel like that really comes from maturity. However, I do also find that there are many people that move further down life's paths and get older and become less self-compassionate and more rigid. And my friend Ani DeFranco has this amazing song that's something like, if you're not getting happier as you get older, then you're fucking up. And I love that line. That's a great metric in itself. If you're not getting happier as you get older, then you're fucking up. But I really think that comes from self-compassion. Self-compassion to me kind of bends and alters the frame and the story that we put ourselves in through our consistent habits. So if we're choosing rejuvenating habits, we're putting them into place consistently, and then we give ourselves the self-compassion of being able to bend and sway. Feels pretty good to me. I can feel it in my body. That's the way it's supposed to be. That sounds like truth. All right. Soulful gratitude. Gratitude plus a happy-ass-go-lucky attitude equals ratitude. And I've been accused at times of having a pretty decent ratitude, but that doesn't come by an accident. Like I said, it used to be my pursuit to just try to convince myself to be happy, like fake it before you make it with happiness. And that can work, but then at some point the ego and your soul starts calling bullshit on that. So you have to get your body to catch up and to be grateful for everything you're seeing pass through your experience. So how do we do this? Is to maintain a constant frame of awareness. A friend, Chrissy Barker, down in Dallas, has this wonderful Instagram feed called Gratitude Lens. And I love that name because I think it should be a lens that you wear throughout your life. And I think spending time in this new house, in this new environment, and starting my business and putting on new shirts or whatever it could be, it gives you an opportunity every single minute, moment to moment, to say, gosh, how awesome is this? I'm so grateful. I'm working on a Mac now and not this shitty ass PC. I have these kids that are growing up before my eyes doing all these incredible things, but maintaining constant awareness, being constantly expressive about gratitude, saying to your partner, saying to your kids, isn't this awesome? Don't you love this more than our last backyard? Don't you, as challenging as times could be, or whatever our attitudes are around money or whatever, isn't it awesome that ... constantly expressing it. It increases others to share as well. And then they start rampaging. And when you start rampaging together with other amazing people about your gratitude, really good things happen. And then we're going to talk about a practice right now that I want you to put into play in the evenings, and that's your written inventory of miracles. So let's talk about the written inventory. Every night before bed, here's what I want you to do. Are you still with me? By the way, are we getting something out of this so far? This is all the stuff that's been top of mind for me so far this year. Here we go. Before bed, here's your prompt. Doesn't require a ton of journaling or a ton of work. It's what were 3 to 5 miracles that happened today? Stuff you couldn't have planned on or expected, that were just small, usually small, but sometimes big, very good, unexplainable things, or serendipities or synchronicities. What were 3 to 5 miracles that happened today? And you could also frame these in just straight gratitude of, what are some of the miracles you experience in a given day that you take for granted now that were totally unattainable a few short years before. So on the days where I'm in grouchy Gus mode or grumpy dad mode, where I'm walking around this house picking up after the kids for the millionth time because they're like Tasmanian devils, and sometimes they make eye contact you while they just clear the tables of stuff onto the floor. Like, what the hell's that about? But when I'm picking up and I'm getting grumpy, and I'm realizing that we effectively doubled our square footage of stuff to keep clean. And I think, wow, why did we need all this space? And is this all worth it? I realize when I look out the windows and look at our new kitchen, or look at the potential for our life unfolding in this new space and all it represents, that it's an absolute miracle. And I never would have pictured it just a couple short years ago. So see where you're taking something in your present experience and acknowledging it for the miracle that it is. Pretty incredible. And that's what I mean by in the morning, taking a little inventory of what miracles can you see right in front of you? You know, is it this person next to you? Is it something on the walls? Is it these comfortable thread count sheets? What is it? What feels good on your skin? The water fixtures in your shower? It could be any number of things. So do this. I promise you, if you're meditating consistently and writing down 3 to 5 miracles that happen today, you're going to start noticing this snowball of momentum of miracles happening in your life where the synchronicities just start getting really crazy of what shows up in your inbox and everywhere else. All right, let's talk about the dollar bills. Soulful money. Isn't money the great accountability partner, incentive, great comparison metric with all other humans on Earth? It's definitely a hot button emotionally for people, but I need to talk about money because this whole year for me has been a real, like, as I mentioned, these things not fitting together of not a next income, but taking these big chances of going out into business on my own and simultaneously, renovating a new house. Money has, every single day, it's, what is this going to cost? There was days in February while we were working on the home where I was literally spending 15 to 20 grand a day on appliances and materials for the home, paying contractors, and just thinking, wow, that was, today was the equivalent of my severance package or whatever it could have been. And, but when it's all said and done, as things reconcile, I realize I have to acknowledge that I've never had more money in the bank than I do at this present moment, right now, right this second. I don't say that to impress you, to brag like I'm rich, because it's not the case whatsoever. But it's interesting that I could, in 1 minute, lament or fear not having this sizable corporate salary coming in the next given week. But in the next moment, I remember that I have more money in the bank right this second than I did when I had the corporate salary coming in last year. So again, how do these things work? Well, I would argue that it has to do with the soul. And I'm going to give you a very, very powerful mantra about money. If you're into that sort of thing, if you want to increase your abundance, and if you want to increase the channels by which money can flow into your life and the creativity that is needed to earn more money and to save more money and to give more money, try this. You want to focus on earning abundantly, saving diligently, and giving generously. Let's make this as simple as possible. I'm a big framework person. A big part of my consulting practice is taking complex, crazy ideas and getting them down to something actionable. So here's the most actionable thing I could come up with. The outer line perimeter on this is really important, and that's to be sober-minded about money. I know, easier said than done because I'm glugging down some Jameson's or Wild Irish Rose at the moment while I'm on this webinar. I'm actually not. I'm just kidding. I'm not saying you are either, but maybe you are. I'm not judging. In fact, if you are drinking, I will judge you as awesome. It's just not my bag. But sober-minded means, I'm talking about it in the terms of the virtue sobriety. The ancient Greeks would call sobriety one's capacity of being completely attuned and in agreement with what's happening in the moment, meaning that they're looking at things judiciously and responsibly with care, not avoiding them for fear of, it's not going to tell me, they're not going to be the numbers I want to see when I look in my account, so I'm just not going to look at them. But being sober-minded about it. And one of my good friends and coaches, Kate O'Brien, up in Portland, she's really grilling me these days on being, as is my friend who's on the call now, Karen Wright, is about making time each month to check in on the actual numbers of my business and really looking hard at what is going out and what's coming in, and invoice early and invoice often. All these things I was never particularly good at when I was a paper boy as a young child, or being a full-time employee, I had other teams of people to do that for me. But being sober-minded about your money while reciting this mantra to yourself. You ready? Here it is. Screenshot it. This is going to be powerful, I promise you, and I know it's simple. I earn abundantly and save diligently so I may give generously, and I stay aware of all levels. I earn abundantly, I save diligently, and so I may give generously, and I stay aware of all levels. And I wanted to point this out, that I was inspired to create this mantra for myself this year out of the work of another dear friend and teacher, Dr. Alice Bandy, who's a friend of the Camp Good Life Project community. But Alice has been an incredible teacher on my path this year in helping me get my alignment between my mindset and my energy, my soul purpose, all this deeper work I've done, because I realized that in all this change and upheaval, it can't just be attacked and solved by creating more to-do lists. It has to be in alignment at a much deeper level. And I would recommend her book, The Wisdom of Money. I mean, it's sitting right here on my desk. I did work through it as a workbook, and this is what I came up with as my intention about money, is that my whole goal around earning abundantly and saving diligently is only so I may give generously to my family, to myself when deserving, but mostly to the world at large. So getting these things in alignment the way they should be. All right, soulful business. Who wants to talk about business? We ready? Mindful business. Business is complex, but here's what I distilled it down to. It's to create time to spend on knowing the fundamentals of business, and specifically making them fun to learn and fun to apply versus the grind that it can be. You know, it can be daunting to be in business by yourself, especially to do the work of, you know, how many other teams I had at a company to do those functions for me. But having an understanding of these fundamentals and then making them fun in the process is pretty cool, because if we're running our own business, and I would encourage every full-time employee that's on the phone too, you are also running your own business. It is your job to maximize your value to the market and to your employer so you can maximize your compensation. Okay, so that means that you are in business for yourself first before you're in business for your employer. And there's fundamentals that you can master of doing just that. And I had to do this as a salesperson when I was building territories. I had to do this as I redesigned my career inside of a company. And now I'm just doing it being in business for myself. But what the opportunity is of this is that you have an opportunity to develop it all from this beautiful blank slate. Yes, that can be overwhelming and exhausting. However, you have a chance, and maybe a once in a lifetime opportunity, to do it right, to do it how you would do it, and to own every step of the process. Fundamentals, hugely important. I'm working through this right now, which is this incredible curriculum called Builders from the Build Institute in Detroit. But it's the foundations they use to teach, you know, countless people from all walks of life to create place-based businesses, mom and pop shops, boutiques, restaurants, that sort of thing in inner city Detroit for, you know, so anybody could go into business. And yes, I have a lot of business acumen from doing the startup thing for so many years. However, I don't want to solely rely on that information to take my business forward. So I want to understand all the cash flow, all the payables, receivables, the business plan, all that. So fundamentals, can't hammer it enough. Business development, spending time in outreach to potential clients. You have to get comfortable doing this. You have to make it fun and engaging. And here's the third circle. If I have a given week or a given day that was equally divided among these three things and learning these three things and putting these into practice, creating powerful magnets. That's the body of work you create that draws your clients to you. Alan Weiss, the consultant who came up with the $1 Million Consultant books and the $1 Million Launch, he's all about magnet marketing. What are the pieces of content you're creating that's creating a magnet towards you? For me, launching This Epic Life, it was creating the framework manifesto. And these days for my culture consulting firm, it's about creating white papers and case studies and quizzes that engage people into using my services well before they pay for them, that just draw them to me. And this is something that if you get these things out of whack, most people would intuitively say, I need to spend all my time in business development and sell, sell, sell. Well, that also creates kind of a weird vibe in your energy where you're just asking, pushing, money, money, money. Whereas the magnets are creating the big give you need to demand the money that you're really ultimately seeking. So spending time on creating those long-term magnets, hugely important. And then, of course, wrapping the whole thing in service, over-deliver, overserve. I hope that goes without saying, but raving fan service is kind of the baseline entry level for, you know, offering your services. You have to over-deliver, overserve people on what you promise. Easier said than done, I know, but this is what my model looks like for my business. All right, and that brings us to the sixth and final component of mindful badassery, and that is soulful mentorship. And I show these to you not to impress you, but I had this wave last year where I was just meeting a lot of people that I really looked up to and was inspired by. And I always asked them mentorship type questions. I asked them for advice and what worked for them. So I got to meet Deepak Chopra at when I spoke at Wisdom 2.0. The founder of Wisdom 2.0, Soren Gordhamer, amazing guy, creating a worldwide movement around consciousness and business. I mean, clearly I have a lot to learn from these people. And MC Yogi, Karen Wright and I went and practiced some yoga up in Toronto, and got to meet one of my favorite musical artists, MC Yogi, in the process. And these, you can't see them because they got placed behind, but my family with our friend Ani DeFranco, and meditating with Jonathan Fields. The purpose of showing these is that I don't believe that meeting people out of our typical orbit or vibrational proximity is really any miraculous thing. It happens through some definite intentionality, not because we're just so starstruck that we have to make this happen or we're opportunists, but that we can follow a process to bring these people into our orbit and create value for them. And I ran a class on creating impact last year, and one of the most powerful modules of that was on undeniable proof and being associated with people that we once idolized or put in hero status, and offering so much value for those heroes where they are more than happy to offer up this halo effect to either elevate your exposure or to make you part of a team in some way. So it starts by serving your heroes, and this can be done by any of us online every day. We all have access to the people we admire. You could share their work, you could promote their work from an authentic place, and you can really champion their work within your own circles, and that helps them unquestionably. So serving your heroes, getting this halo effect by association. And there's a halo effect, which is powerful for you because this person may have, maybe a few more steps down the road than you. However, there's also a reverse halo effect where maybe you spend so much time with people you once idolized and you offer so much value that there's a reverse halo effect where they feel pretty damn good just being associated with you, and they're more than happy to pour more resources and exposure into you. But it's true, and it's a two-way street, but it starts by being of service. Something that should go without saying, but everything that I've learned from many of my heroes, whether it's Ani DeFranco, Jonathan Fields, Soren, Deepak, people that I looked up to that I ultimately ended up meeting or working with in some way, is that I'm hardcore about implementing everything I learned. So whatever they're teaching in their books, one of the first words out of my mouth is, I tried that thing you talked about in chapter whatever, and here's how it worked for me. Implement all you learn, and then turn around and facilitate and inspire other people to do it. Right? See the cyclical effect here? Serving your heroes, you're implementing all you learn, you're becoming a walking case study for your hero's work, your mentor's work, and then it's your job to be a mouthpiece and an example to facilitate that with somebody else, to pay it forward. And that's been my experience of mentorship. I recently wanted to get into the coaching space or just offer some one-to-one solutions for people on my website. And I realized just recently through working with my friend Kate O'Brien, my coach, is that I'm much more of a powerful mentor than I am a coach. And so if you're curious about my mentorship stuff or how I frame it up, if you're a coach or you want to offer mentorship in some way, you can check it out on my site. It's thisepiclife.com/mentorship, I believe, but it's up there under work with me. But this is what I really believe in, is taking everything I've ever learned from my heroes and making it actionable for any of the people I mentor, period. That's what we do. All about paying it forward. Okay, so in review, let's see how far we've traveled because learning is growing. Was that from an after-school special? I don't know where this stuff kind of seeps into my consciousness, but I know that it's there. So here's our action steps of being a mindful/soulful badass, is that I want you to write out your simple soulful metrics. You could use the simple ones I gave you: meaning, impact, and adventure. Aim for the center of the 3 concentric circles at all times. I should have pointed that out earlier. Write out your simple, soulful metrics. Pare down and practice habits and rituals with consistency, but also with flexibility and self-compassion. Paring down is important. That's another aspect of sobriety. My friend Susan Piver gave me that definition. Pared down, sharp-eyed, awake. That's so much more attractive than the lame absence of booze. So, pared down, sharp-eyed, awake. Pare down your habits and rituals. That's why we're going to lead into meditation, because there's no better habit I could give you for free that will almost enforce you to reevaluate and to pare down those habits and rituals into what's rejuvenating, what you can practice consistently, and, of course, amplify the self-compassion in the process. Practice gratitude like it's your damn job. I don't got no other job. Might as well practice that. The fact is, I probably have 4 more jobs than I did last year. Practice gratitude like it's your job. Nightly inventory. What were the miracles that happened today? This constant awareness and constant expression. Say to yourself, say to your kids, say to your friends and coworkers, can you believe that we have this coffee maker here? I know that seems ridiculous, but my grandfather was kind of my blueprint for just authentic fascination and awe. I wrote about him in my manifesto. And if he walked into a room, he'd say, this room is magnificent. Look at this computer. How does this work? Become grateful for even the little things. Express it. If you are easily inspired, you will be easily inspiring, I assure you. Those millions of things you point out to people about being grateful for, they come back to you in things like compensation negotiation, talking to clients. People remember that stuff. Number 4, get real about your money. Memorize and recite that money mantra. I earn abundantly and save diligently, so I may give generously. I earn abundantly and save diligently, so I may give generously. Accent a different word every time you say it to yourself, like some crazy-ass person talking to themselves as you run down the trails, getting your endorphins going, knocking out all those blockages of energy and stress and cortisol bullshit, letting all the love into your veins course through all of your extremities, out into your eyeballs, into passersby. Look them in the eye and say, I earn abundantly and save diligently, so I give generously. Do it to the point where you fully embody it and it becomes hardwired to your soul. See if it feels like bullshit then. Number 5, allocate your workday to drive your business. Fundamentals, business development, long-term magnets. If you bop between those 3 all day long, or segment your day into 3 distinct portions where you're covering the fundamentals, covering your outreach, and then covering your long-term business your long-term magnets, I guarantee you'll end up with a business that not only gains steam quickly, but will be something that is sustainable and hopefully, and we'll have another webinar on this soon. I can assure you that you could hopefully anticipate any fiscal cliffs or drops in business if you're working long-term. And then 6, seek and offer mentorship. Serve your heroes, implement all you learn, and facilitate and inspire. Pay it forward. All right, are we becoming more mindful? Are we starting to? Because here's what we're going to move into is tomorrow, I'm kicking off the 30-day challenge. You could do this at any time that works for you, because I did make the autoresponder fully evergreen. All the resources are available for you. But I want to let you know that if you start tomorrow with us and go through the 30 days, you're going to have more likelihood of becoming part of the community and benefiting from all of us other nut jobs doing our practice every single day and sharing about it. It is a lot more fun to do things in a community, to have the public accountability, to have the cheerleader squad, and to also kind of benchmark your progress against some of the other kind of predictable ups and downs that you go through over the first month of creating your habit. That's why I created it in this form, is that I want everyone to ride that emotional wave together, that, holy crap, we're really doing this. The train's leaving the station. But then on day 7, things get real. Oh, I don't feel like practicing. My ego's talking me out of it. All that's written into the autoresponder, and you could get it all for free at thisepiclife.com/30. And it would really help me selfishly and fully transparently. It would really help me in my work, but it would also really help the cause in general, and probably your friends if you share this. Let people know what you're doing, mostly so they could support you. I have friends that are getting sober. They're deciding to be sober after years of drinking with their family. And the hardest thing to do is to go to their family barbecue during the summertime when their family's drinking their face off, expecting this newly sober person to be in the same small box they've always kept them in or themselves in for their entire life. And all of a sudden they're showing up in this, different state. What do you mean you're not? That's kind of how it is with meditation. When you tell some of your friends, they may be a little weirded out or, gosh, this thing again, why are they doing this? What's important about it? Share with them in the spirit of, this has the biggest potential. This crazy human guinea pig, KC, has gone down every spiritual and personal professional development rabbit hole that exists. I guarantee you, I could bring you vouchers that the guinea pig nature of that is that out of all that exploration, meditation is the fundamental act of showing up for yourself that will upgrade all that other stuff. So if you had no time or money to read all the crap I've read or experienced or seminars I've gone to in my life over this stuff, and you only meditated, you'd probably get there faster because you'd have less distraction, more self-compassion, and more personal self-belief. I'm not going to overly pitch you on meditation. If I'm selling you anything, it is meditation. It's not so much my work, but this is the avenue of getting there. This is why we're going to do it this month. We do it in person. I'm teaching a meditation class in Northeast Ohio today, covering for my friend Eden, who has her own studio. And I love teaching in room, but I also love the wave of consciousness and the swell I feel coming up from the online communities when people are really putting their habit into place. It's exciting stuff, and it's every bit as real to me as being in room with you. And this is what we're all going to look like, little homegirl and homeboy and all their friends meditating together like it's their job, sitting on their desks, just like we would if we were in the office. And check out this cat's socks. I love this kid's socks. Need some of those. That brings us to the end of the summer of fulfillment. I felt like the timing was good to jump into this right after the summer solstice and show you what's been top of mind for me. I hope you found it useful. I wanted to give you a preview of this. This is something I'm producing. This is going to be a paid download later in the 30-day challenge. It's going to be a nominal fee, but I'm creating a booklet of all the daily prompts for the 30-day meditation challenge. This is one of my favorites. Meditation's the duration you're willing to wait out the mind shutting the hell up. How to do this. It's our determination to command and hold our attention as many times as necessary. So I created all these different prompts to inspire forward progress, and to think through the different learning curves you're going to experience throughout the month. So that's it. So what I want to do now is go into some of the challenges or some of the questions that are coming up. And if you have any specific question you want me to cover for you on the call related to anything I said, please feel free. And I'm going to jump into the question boxes now too. All right. All right, Tina, much love. The time of huge priority shifts. Love to hear that, Mary Krause. Yeah, all of our priorities are shifting massively, and there's a lot of reasons for this. Some of it's cosmically and astrologically, and the rise of consciousness that are well beyond our control, I can assure you, because if you do try to control it, it'll be like falling on water skis and holding on while your face is getting grounded off around the lake. You can't control those things. Why are all my priorities shifting? It's because we're getting more conscious, and the world is asking more of us, and the universe wants to know how bad we really want it. So I say let them shift. You'll catch up, I promise you. Wow, Holly, I love, Holly Moss says, Holly Moss, one of my favorite clients from when I worked in sales and digital media, brilliant media strategist, digital strategist in Pittsburgh. She said, I'm finally listening to what you told me probably 6 years ago, and that is to start to meditate. I was told about, you're ahead of me, honestly, because I was told 8 to 10 years that I should, before I started meditating, that I should meditate. People are like, wow, your energy level is pretty uncomfortable. You should really, meditate. I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. It took me another 8 to 10 years. And now I'm about 12 years down the path and about 4.5 or 5 years of being a pretty serious yogi. And yeah, there's no going back. The more you do it, the more you need it. Felicia, I'm so glad you got something out of this. Be a part of the meditation challenge. You'll be able to experience more of the community, not just my but a lot of the wisdom that comes up from everybody else going through it together. Victoria wants to know if I could repeat what I said about making more to-do lists and that it's not enough. You have to align everything. Yeah. So to-do lists are great in some ways, and I'm using a few different tools. Trello, Trello, is a great site for organizing things. It's a Japanese organizational system, kind of like note cards, where you create cards and then drag them across the screen as things get completed. So you're aligning all your tasks with the greater objectives, drag them over. And I'm a big fan. I'm a type AA Virgo. My to-do lists have to-do lists. I love my to-do lists. However, what I said, Victoria, was that when I came into this year, when the entire landscape that I knew was getting eradicated from job to house to amazing office I built. Don't get me wrong, I love my new 60s basement. It has the unicorn head on the wall. That's pretty dope. And I do have my altar and all the things I need to function. But it isn't the white Zen integration station I created at my last job or at my last house. When everything was shifting, I knew that it was such an unprecedented level of change that I could not tackle it by to-do lists alone. They wouldn't accommodate for the forces that were in play. Okay? I would have been trying to control the uncontrollable. So I needed to align at a much deeper level with soul, mindset, intuition, biggest one. Luckily, all you females have a much bigger upper hand because it's much more of a natural female superpower than it is for dudes to acquire, to operate from intuition. But that's the levels of alignment I'm talking about. And it's something I talk a lot about with my mentorship peeps or my mentees, is the ways to align our action to be right action. So that's the to-do list. It's creating actions, but those have to be in alignment with mindset, soul, greater objectives. And because action for action's sake, there's no time for it. I knew if I was any actions I would have taken back in January when I was sitting back by the pool, freaked out, that picture I showed you, I probably would have been changing course 20 times by now. But I'm taking very deliberate right action step forward, and it feels much better and better in alignment. Jackie, do you have any advice on how to fit in your own creative work as an entrepreneur? It's so easy to put client work and business first. And though I coach other people, I still find it hard to put my own creative work first. I've heard you described as such a super person by Jonathan Fields. So anything you have to manage your time would be so useful. Yeah, Jackie, my time bending resources, I believe, are available for free. If you Google This Epic Life time bending, you could hear a webinar I did specifically on my time management or anti-time management processes, because I have 3 kids and 3 jobs and 3 persons energy or whatever it may be. I have to find ways to align, to allow for more pockets of time to open up, to do the seemingly impossible. And honestly, as I get more into the entrepreneur stuff, that I could see how much more challenging it's going to be, because entrepreneurship, let's face it, it's more than a full-time job. However, when you get into alignment with the fact that you owe your customers all the very best in innovation and the new strategies and all the new creative work you need to do to serve them, that kind of alignment you feel in your body tends to open up the pockets of time necessary where, the BS time that gets squeezed out by Facebook or distractions or whatever it may be tends to be less important than, Stephen Covey's quadrant 2 of important but not urgent, right? That's the creative work we're looking to do. So I would challenge you to sit down every week and say, I'm going to schedule this into my calendar, non-negotiable creative time. This is innovation time, because that's what your next wave of clients is going to be buying. They're not going to be buying the same stuff you're doing today. All companies need to do it, including the single person entrepreneur. Yeah, that's great, Jackie. Casey, it goes for me too. And I just took the plunge, quit the day job, and I'm pondering next steps, have family to care for, but also looking for ways of using talent, treasure to serve. It's been wonderful to watch you and your family grow over the years. Thank you for your friendship. Oh, that's great, Deb. I'm super excited for you and scared shitless. It's a bundle of emotions, right? But yeah, the thing I'll tell you about, passion pursuits and doing what we're here to do and getting paid for it is really a lot of that passion stuff can be construed as bullshit, because, if we all were supposed to just quit our jobs and take the reckless plunge into, being a coach or an artist or whatever it may be, it's not good. It's not good guidance to give anybody. In fact, all my coaches in Good Life Project, Karen Wright included, who's on the call, said, dude, you're not quitting your job. This is 4 years ago. I just gave an interview to Charlie Gilkey about this on his podcast. 4 years ago, I wanted to quit my job and just do what I'm doing today. 4 years ago would have been way premature. I had no content. I had no credibility. I had really no following outside the company, and no real skills to pay the bills in this regard. But 4 years of serious alignment, and now even still, this is the advice I'd give you, Deb, is to being open to taking consulting work and anything that creates a bridge between your last job and this job. It's not a step backwards. It's not, negating or calling BS on your talents if you don't make every single dollar from your particular talent. You could go and form a great bridge. That's why I'm teaching meditation to get some good practice. It's not the money that's going to pay this mortgage. Consulting work and speaking and all the bigger things I do are. However, all that work adds up to the great life and the great contribution. Hope that makes sense. Cool. I'm going to scroll through for a couple more questions here. Yeah, and if there's anything else, just enter it in the chat box. Otherwise, I want to be respectful of your time and finish as scheduled for our time here today. Did you get something out of this? Was it helpful? Are you starting to see how you could be a little bit more intentional about how you design some of these things? Yeah. Liknur Akbulat. Oh, I hope I didn't butcher your name so too badly, but I felt fantastic. Thanks for this magnificent hour. A miracle for today. Does time matter for the 30 days challenge? Oh, great question. Great question. Here's what I want to do. Before we break camp, let's first do a little energetic exercise, okay? Let's quiet our minds and try, if we have things spinning around or begging for our attention or being a distraction, just let them settle for a second, as if our thoughts are a snow globe. Just let them kind of settle to the bottom for a second. Start focusing on the breath a little bit. And let's acknowledge the miracle, as they expressed it, of coming together. That we all maybe were drawn to this for a particular reason, myself included. I learn every bit, and if not more, from you than you do from me. I'm just here to house the community, okay? But what's the miracle of us all coming together? Get that into perspective on this particular day. And then we have another opportunity to spend 30 days together virtually through practicing meditation. Let's acknowledge this being alive at this day and age that could facilitate that miracle happening, okay? Feeling that? Okay, let's picture our gathering here as a circle. And this unique circle has its own energy field. Are you feeling it? Do you acknowledge that you are part of it? And could that unique gathering of people have its own vibration or color or unique chemistry of energy? Let's take that and let's raise it up. Let's feel the potential of that. And that's what I want to take into the 30-day challenge. But we're going to be doing it with a few hundred as I checked today, but usually gets up to a few thousand. So let's see how it goes. Jackie, friend of Cynthia Morris, one of my other favorite people on the earth, my sister Cynthia, one of my bestest friends. I perfectly announced your name. Wow. I think, what's your ethnicity? Please tell me your ethnicity, Linkner. Jack said, friend of Cynthia Morris, she used to coach me and she's been to our house in London. So do say to hello if I see her. Okay, great. Turkish, all right. Sorry for the turbulent times the Turkey people are living through, especially as any United States imperialism. Gosh, we can't stop messing with everyone. Cool, that's great. That's great. I'm so glad to see people from all over the world. Mike, I'm hoping to maybe see you. You have 2 questions in the chat box. Katie Poo McCorkindale. I wonder who that could be. Okay, let's see here. Brandon Ford, so great to see you. Self-compassion is a challenge for you. I usually do not give myself the benefit of the doubt. Brandon, you should be a lawyer. I'm just kidding. I know you're a lawyer by training. I don't think lawyers are adequately skilled and grilled in self-compassion. It's justice. And I demand the ego wants justice out of your ass. Why did you skip meditation? Why did you skip this? Why did you, whatever. Yeah, self-compassion doesn't come naturally. So I would encourage you, Brandon, to entertain the possibility, which is also the truth, which is my truth, that maybe you just being the badass, suave, talented, loving family guy, incredible producer at work is more than enough. Okay. And that anything you show up for, it's kind of like the Kanye West quote, my presence is a presence. My presence is a present. Kiss my ass. Say that to your ego and see how it feels. Okay. Where you are going or where you've been, the ego cannot follow you. So when it pipes up and says it's not enough, or that you need to be rigid with whatever you need to be rigid about, just call bullshit on it. Okay. You're already doing plenty. You're just looking for consistency. So when I'm consistently training for a marathon or I'm running distances, I know the same nagging ego that tries to keep me shackled in bed and not run the miles, that little bitch can't keep up with me at mile 8 or mile 10. Where are they now? Yeah, exactly. All right, do your thing, Joel. Great seeing you, brother. Katie had a question. Excited for the challenge. Gina, great to see. Yeah, 1 second. I'm getting up to the chats. Sorry. Okay. Joel, what he's going to remember about 2016 when he's 80, the massive failure of our family trip to Costa Rica. Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, it's in the chat box. Yes, these little moments. How sweet it was to shift from a catalyst of movements to champion of movements, from Casey's epic quest and my new role running an online community. Gosh, I freaking love it. Sorry for missing the question in the chat here, Katie Poo McCorkindale. Finish. Oh my gosh, Victoria is finishing up her dissertation, feeling very overwhelmed. Yeah, overwhelmment is kind of increasingly part of the human condition these days. And what I always say is it's better to be overwhelmed than underwhelmed. Underwhelmed is that, I forgot the Olympic gymnast on the podium, that picture, like, I'm not impressed, that boredom. Overwhelm means that you have a lot on your plate by your own choosing, do you not? A lot on your plate by your own inability to say no to certain things with any type of firmness or consistency. I mean, at least that's what overwhelming is in my case. I'm an Enneagram number 7 and highly extroverted, lover of all people and people pleaser. So I know what overwhelming means. But it's your job to knock down the most important thing that gets done this summer, which is the dissertation. It's massive, it's big, but if nothing else gets done, so be it. This is the summer you got it done, right? And I'm guessing it's already plenty great because it's underway, so just keep focused on it. Katie, I apologize. I somehow missed your question. Okay. There's a notebook app that's also useful to write down what you're grateful for. What's the name of it again? Oh, yeah, the notebook, the 5-minute journal. I use the 5-minute journal. I have it right here. 5-minute journal is a great little 5-minute journal, if you will. But the quotes are, what I'm grateful for. It gives you just a few things to write down each day. You do it in the morning and then in the evening. I've just about filled this one, and I've just been writing down free form because I find it more useful. I'm able to expand on the ideas a little bit more. But what's cool is if you keep it in an Evernote or wherever you keep it, you could go back and start inventorying counting up the different miracles that happen, and it sets the stage for many more bigger ones to come. It's true. I don't know how it works, but it works. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. Cool. Well, I feel like I've covered some ground here and I feel complete. I hope you all do as well. Please join me for the 30-day challenge, thisepiclife.com/30. You'll get this amazing arsenal of training videos, and then you'll get steady, loving kicks in the ass to stay the course and stick with me and become a part of the community on the Facebook page. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you in there, and thank you so much for your time today. I hope you found it useful. And here's to your most inspired summer of fulfillment, being a mindful badass. Sound good? All right. Thanks so much, Tracy, Jackie, Karen, Brandon, everybody I see in here. Linknor, great to meet you. Much love. Take care, everyone.